Right, hello, so it's time for a stream. So today's Monday, I believe. As time goes on during the lockdown, obviously, the grip of the days goes a bit because every day pretty much ends up being the same when your only instruction is to stay at home, to not spread a virus. So, I've been following the rules, as I said, other than some socially distanced dog walks, I've been stuck in. Hello, Dominic. Hello, Mr. Live Era. Right, I'm glad the notification went out because obviously if you're on straight away, that means you've got a notification. So, hello to you all. Merlin Archery at least replied to me earlier about that crossbow, so I need to send them some photos of it, and then they'll sort out a replacement. So I'll do that after the stream. But I sent the pictures to Mike and a few other people earlier, and I know Peach noticed that there was actually some air bubbles in the plastic where it snapped. So yeah, looks like they didn't mold the plastic properly. So hopefully that means if I get another one, it will just have been a freak incident. Yeah, well, at least it showed up somewhere, Mr. Live Era, because, yeah, in theory, you should get all the notifications, shouldn't you? But I know sometimes it just doesn't show up anywhere. Well, how to scale it? If everybody gets a vaccine, or enough people get a vaccine, then yes, it will end the pandemic. But the problem's going to be, now it's been so long before the vaccines have been developed, in a sense, there's probably going to be variations of it, like the Brazil, English, and, South African variant all spreading around. Right, Braden. I haven't got this crossbow in this room, so I can't show you now. But you know where the prod installs on the crossbow, like the actual bow bit of it? It snapped there, and it looks like there was air bubbles inside the actual thing. If you saw, Mike, I don't know if you saw, but I sent a thing on the group chat about the crossbow, so you could see it, how it snapped. And yeah, Peach noticed that there's several air bubbles. Yeah, there's 4 on one side and like either 2 or 3 on the other. So yeah, it looks obviously like there were essentially like holes inside the plastic, almost like woodworm in the plastic. But there we go. Hello to the Czech Republic, or Czechia, whichever you call it, OK9. No new gas masks. I'm planning on selling a few soon. There'll be a members video showing what I'm selling ahead of time. So if members want to get in on the stuff, they can do. One of the masks I might sell is my M50 if people are interested in buying an M50. But yeah, I'll probably sell the M50 for about £100 if anybody's interested. But with all the stuff I'm selling, in the video I'll get it all out for the video so people can see the condition of it, and all that before thinking about buying it. Search Avon M50, Mr. Raymer. It's the current US service mask. I managed to get one in the UK for a pretty good price a while ago. It's one of those masks I don't really have any use for. So it's like a top-end military mask, but for me, it's not really any use. So I sort of thought, well, I might as well sell it, seeing as I could probably quite easily get £100 from that. You could just not afford it, Radiac Maniac. Right, Sinister Defects. A good price for them, a reasonable price, would be £30 to £50 for an S10, and then maybe £40 to £80, say, for an FM12. The problem is everybody wants more than that now. I stole that joke, OK9. Have you seen the epic rap battle one with Putin in? Because he said the last man that attacked me lived a half-life, referring to Alexander Litvinenko. But yeah, that's where I stole the joke from. But yeah, you will live a half-life. I've got a couple. I don't know if I'll be selling any of my vests, Mr. Raymer. The closest thing to a proper military tactical vest I have with everything on it is my ECBA, and I definitely wouldn't sell my ECBA because that's probably my favourite bit of body armour. But yeah, I've got a couple like Kevlar vests and that, but a seller in the UK had a few in stock at one point, Jacob, so it was just a case of buying them domestically. But yeah, in theory, they're ITAR protected, aren't they? So I doubt I could send them to the US. But yeah, somehow they got out of US stock, sold on UK eBay. I bid on one, nobody else bid on one, so I got it for a good price. Yeah, police surplus vests are good, aren't they, Max Keck? The ones I use the most when I used to use them, for EDC wear when I was in a bit of a dodgy area, were just ex-police ones. Because the materials inside were still absolutely fine. So, I didn't mind a bit of wear and tear to the cover if it meant spending £40, not £300 on the stab vest. I haven't played Stalker in ages, but I ought to again. At the moment, I've been playing shitloads of Red Dead Online. I will Rescue Medic be selling a few, either a few Geiger counters or sort of ionization chambers. But again, what I'll do at some point is I'll get a video together showing everything I'm selling. I've got Hearts of Iron 4. I haven't played very much of it. I played quite a bit of Hearts of Iron 3. I like World War II. What's your budget and what do you need it for? Right, Dominic, if you're interested in buying it, I don't know if it's in this room or not. It is. But it might not be in your size. Because I only really need one stab vest, in all honesty, I might sell this one. So, no, I don't have any police spray. I don't know if you can even legally own it if it's like pepper spray. But yeah, I've got one of these slim stab vests. You know, the ones where they just, and it's got the Kevlar filler in it. So I think it's level 3A Kevlar with like stab or spike protection level 1, something like that. But this is essentially just one of the ones where it goes over you. Let me just put it together and then I can show you. But again, if it's not in your size, obviously it would be no good for you, but I'm just sort of thinking. Does that fit a big guy? Well, you've got adjustable straps on them. Normally the actual Kevlar panels are the same size. Yeah, let me just take my glasses off just so you can see what this one looks like. As I said, I'm just going to probably sell a few things just to get some more bunker money in. But yeah, this is, and I want to clear some space for like obvious reasons if you look behind me. So a vest like this, you know, it's not huge, as you can see. It basically, obviously I've not got those straps completely even at the moment. But the idea is it doesn't cover your lower stomach. I mean, you can theory actually loosen these and it does cover a bit more of your lower stomach. Let me just do that. This is a vest that's meant to be worn under clothing, not over it like I'm doing now. So yeah, it's meant to be worn like that. So you could, in still theory, get stabbed in the very bottom of your stomach there. But these ones are obviously designed to protect your front and back. So they're just like level 3A Kevlar panels with additional stab protection. As I said, these are kind of popular designs because of the fact that, you know, they're pretty slim and lightweight. So you can wear them under something like a hoodie and it's not very obvious. You know, you just look a slight bit fatter. But yeah, that's that one. So I'll consider selling that one, but... Right, I'm trying to think, Justin Vapor, if I have any extra large gas masks. I generally don't buy those sizes because obviously when I get a mask, most of it's in my size. But yeah, as I said, what I'll end up doing is there'll be a members video at some point, maybe in a week or two, where obviously I put up the stuff that I'm willing to sell, you know, and give you a rough idea of the price I want for it. You know, and then people can always sort out with me in private messages if they actually want to buy it or not. But there will be masks, but as I said, members will get the first picks of ones I'm selling. So what I'm going to do, so I don't want to really keep repeating this over and over, there'll be a members video that will at least go up first with a couple of weeks, you know, notice on it, so they can get the first picks. Because in all honesty, I wouldn't just want to sell it to random people on YouTube just because of the fact that somebody could do the thing of it never arrived, even if you posted it by thing, you know, get a refund and they've essentially stolen and ripped you off. All right, your mother, I can send you a picture after this stream of the crossbow, how it snaps, and there were air bubbles in it. When I like looked at the picture blown up, you could see the air bubbles. So yeah, they just form the plastic badly. Yeah, that's all right, Braden. I think I might know where the MM1 is, but like not exactly. I'm pretty sure it's in one of the storage boxes in the conservatory. But yeah, I've got a DDR visor cap, but I probably wouldn't sell that. That's on a mannequin. That's stored on. What time periods do you like? I like World War II. Judging by your username, if you like World War II, why don't you buy an old sort of British Mark IV or Mark V respirator? What country are you in, Dominic, where you have to have a license for archery? Because weirdly, in the UK, we don't have that, unless you mean like a membership sort of club thing. But yeah, we don't have licenses, at least in the UK, with all the other fucking licenses we have for archery. All right, Oof. Dan, I can get the measurements for you here because I'm around it. I'd say probably £40 to £50 for the vest and postage. That way, it's pretty much, equal in price to what prepper shops sell vests for or whatever. So the brand is Satsuan Armor Technology. I don't know if that means anything to you. Doesn't mean anything to me. Does it have the sizes on here? Right, there's no sizes visibly on it, but as I said, I'll do a member stream at some point where you can ask me more questions about it, and I'll do a video. But I'm about 5'8", 5'9", not really overweight, but not too skinny anymore, and it fits me fine. The idea of the massive Velcro bit is that you can stretch it to your size. So I'd say as long as you're not massively over 6 foot, it would probably cover you all right. Also, I'd say with body armor, some of it depends on the length of your legs compared to the length of your torso. Because the thing with body armor like this is it's designed to not quite go to the bottom of your torso, so it doesn't cut into your stomach or your groin when you sit down. What mask is this, Newt? British EDC gas mask. Renzo, if you don't have a firearms license, you can only buy air rifles up to 12 foot-pounds. Yeah, Rescue Medic, you can find different size body armors online, but again, my height and build are generally the ones the majority turn up for because it's sort of the average size. Like, you can get women's sizes that sometimes are a bit smaller, and I'm sure there are really tall or really fat sort of people sizes, but you'd probably struggle to find those. Do I own an S6? Yes, but I wouldn't be selling the S6, but I've got videos on it. The bong masks are just basically copied from the mold of an Israeli 4A1 definition. They're not actually a proper gas mask. So when people say they mutilated that mask, put a bong on it, most of the time the answer is no, it's just a remolded one. Right, video based Peach? Yeah, there's a few things like that, Adventures of AJ, but yeah, when it comes to certain clothing sizes, that's when being very average, weight and height is very good, isn't it? Because it means most stuff fits you, whether or not it's surplus or whatever else, but especially when it comes to helmets, vests, armor, NBC suits. Because there's somebody, I haven't seen him on the channel in ages, but I think he was about 6'6" or 6'7", and he could never get an NBC suit to fit him. He could never find a surplus one where it would actually cover him properly because he was just too tall for the NBC suit. That's a Nixie tube clock. So as you can see, it says it's 8:15 in the evening. It's a Nixie tube. That's probably just talcum powder, Gary. They always covered the masks in talc when they put them into storage. Yeah, you certainly could do. Person whose name I can't see because it looks like a blank. Yeah, Joe, I don't know where you'd get a chin strap for a Pasca other than places that sell surplus. I imagine you could change the liner if you wanted to and do it that way, but that might be an expensive and overly complicated way of doing it. I really like the old retro helmets that just had elastic chin straps, because you just stretched them and then they twanged onto your face in the right size. Yeah, but at the moment they're only really teaser trailers, aren't they? Not actual gameplay trailers. Right. I hope it's peaceful protest, but if it protects you from tear gas and stuff like that while you're documenting stuff or peacefully protesting, I'm all for that. But yeah, I wouldn't encourage anybody to do violence because as much as I like crossbows and all that, I'm a very much a non-violent person. Saying that, I had some really fucking dumb people I had to block on that cold video the other day where basically people were saying I was trying to assemble essentially nuclear weapons from having a bit of coal. Yeah, I've gone out wearing a mask quite a lot because, of Corona. Nobody cares at the moment because of Corona. What, as in something that you can check, Dan, it's working. If you can buy a radium antique item cheaply, any old antique radium items are pretty damn good for stress testing a Geiger. Yeah, Maxwell, I think we'll have to see it, at least give it another week, won't we, to see if it averages out as dropping, because it might be that there's been a few lower days in a row. I mean, I hope it's dropping. You never know. Oh, that's cool. So you got a reproduction one, but it's built well, Ryan. That sounds good. Gary, it does dry your throat out because obviously the filter with the charcoal in it is absorbing like moisture from the atmosphere. So the longer you wear it, the drier your throat gets. Does that make sense? Sadly, Dominic, Santa didn't bring me strontium 90. I'd love a DP2 source bit of strontium 90. But yeah, as I said, so if people didn't get how the radioactive coal was made, so if you get charcoal or coal, right, they're adsorbent. That's why they're used in gas mask filters. And obviously, in your house anyway, sorry to alarm you, there's always going to be a degree of radon gas inside your house. If you've got stuff in your house like certain materials that emit radon gas, there's high levels of radon. So if you put the coal or charcoal somewhere where there's going to be higher levels of radon, especially if it's in an airtight container with something that gives off radon, the coal absorbs the radon gas, and then the decay products from the radon gas register on generic Geiger counters. But yeah, I had people literally saying I was trying to make nuclear weapons and all that bullshit, like, I'm reporting you to the police. Oh, the police have already seen my stuff. But, you know, it's that kind of shit, isn't it? Where you're like, for fuck's sake, are you so fucking dumb with physics that you think this is a nuclear weapon? A bit of coal that you know, has absorbed radon gas. No, I quit smoking years ago, definition. Yeah, Braden, it'd be interesting for your neighbour and you to put a similar lump of charcoal in each of your basements, and then after a week compare what the dose gives off on them, because that, like I said, that's basically how you detect radon without buying an expensive radon detector, is literally get something adsorbent. People sometimes do it with Hoover filters, you know, like vacuum cleaners, because vacuum cleaners are obviously going to be sucking a lot of dust and all that through them. You can actually measure the kind of, you know, like dirt trap in your vacuum cleaner to see if it's slightly radioactive from like decay of radon. Yeah, pipe smoking's nice, Max Keck. I very rarely smoke cigarettes. I normally always smoke cigars or a pipe. All right, cool. You might struggle at the moment, Rosa, with FM12s or Rosa, sorry, because they're pretty hard to get even here unless you find somebody, you know, with them for sale at a good price. Actual firearms that work, Rasco, that are legal for me to own 2 firearms. I can't show them on stream because of YouTube's rules. Let me just cock one so you know I'm not lying. So over here I've got a Schmidt Rubin, which is a Swiss bolt action rifle, the earliest model of it. Let me move the magazine away from the breech so it doesn't load a cartridge in. So that's my Schmidt Rubin. And I've also got a Martini Henry. Whether or not the Martini Henry would be safe to fire is another question. But the Schmidt Rubin definitely would be. But the reason they're considered antique guns is basically in the UK we have a weird law where if cartridges for a firearm are quite hard to obtain now, they become firearms you can own without a license. Right, in general, I'm not a fan of Myra Rosa, Rosa, like a lot of people are. Just because Myra is a company that doesn't make masks. They basically buy other people's masks and rebrand them and sell them for more. But a lot of the actual masks Myra sell are good if you can get them at a cheaper price. As in, they're generally Czech military masks, like as in Czech, you know, the Czech Republic or Czechia, however you want to call it. They're generally those masks that are just surplus that they sell at a higher price. Yeah, sadly I can't get out on the stream though, Braden, just because of their stupid rules now. But I can always do another video on it. Yeah, the reason Joe Myra gets a bad rap is essentially they sell lots of very kind of generic surplus tier items or masks, you know, protective equipment. And then they write a massive write-up where they make claims that, you know, it's the only stuff that works on the market, blah, 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 and then they sell it for a massive markup. Yeah, a lot of them, Rosa, literally are clones. Like, for example, I've got the Czech OM90, which is the Czech S10 clone, and Myra sell that under a different name, but for a massive markup. Oh, it's Czech IA, is it? Yeah, I know it's not Chechnya, as in, you know, near Russia. Avon C50. Right, I've got an Avon M50, which I was on about earlier because I'd be willing to sell it. A C50 would probably be pretty damn good because it's the M50 face piece but takes 40mm filters. The reason the M50 is pretty useless for most people, other than a cool item to have in your house, is because the M50 takes a specific type of filter that's unique to the mask, and good luck getting them on the surplus market. I literally have never used any of the very modern Avon masks, as in FM53, etc. So they're probably really good. I know lots of people really like them who have got them, but for the price they cost, unless you needed them for something really serious, I wouldn't bother. Like, one of my favourite masks at the moment is this one, which Hype very generously sent me for free. The blanking plug is just one I homemade because it's a dual filter mask and it didn't come with a blanking plug, and I didn't want to, use it with two filters. But this is a Chinese, what's the name of it? FMJ09, was it? I can't remember. Or MF11D, something like that. But yeah, this is a very, very good modern Chinese like military style respirator. Again, this was sent to me for free, but like I said, unfortunately, you can't find these for sale very easily at the moment. So if anybody's wondering what my custom blanking plug is, it's literally a 40mm GOST thread that they used to use on the hoses, filled in with black silicone adhesive that's like, sealed up inside it. I put some rubber sort of pads in there as well. So therefore, it's basically just a solid bit of rubber that just screws in like that, essentially. Yeah, Joe, they do lots of similar masks. It's just this particular model I've never seen for sale. Like, they obviously do sell them, but obviously I've got them because I chat with people all over the world, and Hype, because he's from China, often can get me Chinese stuff that, you don't really see publicly sold. The US M40 is good, but because it needs a second skin, that's a bit of a drawback. Oldest item in my collection, the Martini Henry we were on about earlier, I would imagine, because that's, like 1870s or something, 1880s? Right, sorry if I've missed any questions, just repeat them to me if I've not answered them. Hype also sent me the Nixie Tube clock for free, so I'm afraid I can't give you a link to that one. If you go on AliExpress and places like that, you can buy these, but they're quite a bit marked up. But you also see them for insane prices, where people literally buy these, put a custom housing around them, and then suddenly want like 200 quid for them. Where in reality, the actual clock is basically, always the same unit inside. It's just USB powered, this one. But yeah, Nixie tubes are really cool. I really like that clock, but don't spend silly money on Nixie tubes because they're really not worth it. All right, Rajiv. Sadly, Sinister Defects, I don't think anybody makes those, even though they'd be great if they did. What thing's still viable? Sorry, tools and targets. I must have missed your first thing. Well, I'm nowhere close to Bury St. Edmunds, but that's pretty damn cool if they've got a GM44 in there. I don't suppose they have an actual like website, do they? Because if they did, I may buy it from them potentially, depending on how much they. But yeah, unless it's someone that can actually literally put it online for sale, I'm not going to drive a huge distance to buy an antique mask, And I said I'm trying to shift a lot of this stuff now, not because I don't want it, but just to free up space, because as you can see, when you collect too much, it becomes a bit like a hoarder house. And, I want to raise money for the bunker. I thought it would be just beside the sub button, Radiac Maniac. Sadly, I don't think I do have any Irish military stuff, Ray. Not really, Rosa, unfortunately, just because I've had all the doxing shit and all that done now, so I don't really give people any personal details. I bet Newt's doing this on purpose now. What bunker? You know full well what bunker. The one like in the picture. I don't think there's been any more put up for sale since like the last lot went. But you know, as I said, it's probably still going to be a few months before I could afford one, unless it's one of the really, really cheap ones for some reason. No, I'm not building a bunker. I'm going to buy a pre-built old Cold War one and restore it, and then it's much cheaper than. Oh, thank you, Mike. So now all the people asking, I'm not making a bunker. All right, if you want the TLDR, in the UK in the Cold War, there was over 1,500 Royal Observer Corps bunkers built as part of an RAF nuclear monitoring project. Surviving the Apocalypse is actually a channel who owns one, weirdly. He runs it like a museum, but obviously at the moment, because of Corona, it's not open. Most of them have been demolished now, but there's still probably about a third of them around in varying condition. Now and again, they come up for sale, sometimes not for very much money. So you buy a little nuclear bunker, you restore it, and then you've got a warm place to live. With a protection factor of about 1,000 to 1, I think, roughly, ROC Post had. Yeah, you could make a bunker, but the problem is, like, obviously getting land and then getting the planning permission to do it. Whereas with ROC posts, they sometimes go up for sale with the land with them for not that much money. I've not been offered the vaccine yet. If they'd offered me the vaccine, I'd have had it, but they haven't offered it me yet. I haven't actually seen your question, Tools and Targets, otherwise I'd try to answer it, but I've not actually seen the question come up. It might be that YouTube is blocking your actual like words if it contains something they think is sensitive. Yeah, Braden, that's the problem, isn't it? You can buy already built ones, no issue. If you wanted to build your own, or have you got a license for that bunker? Oh, video based, just to tell people we don't invite anybody to Discord anymore just because of all the doxing shit, because of how many people are trying to donate to get on there and then cause trouble. So yeah, that isn't a feature anymore. People don't get on the Discord anymore unless they're already on there. Or like I know them quite well through YouTube and that, but yeah. You can donate to see members' videos and that, but there's no Patreon page anymore. You can do, Dominic, because if you're in a place where there's good mobile internet, you just buy a mobile internet antenna, you put it out the old Geiger counter probe port that's in the roof. There. And then you run the wire down into a router or router, however you want to call it, in your bunker. And then you've got proper internet as though you were just standing there, but down in your bunker. You know, because the probe ports are already in the ceiling because they built them for, you know, ionization chamber and Geiger counter probes. I honestly doubt there's going to ever be Fallout Raiders Russian Spetsnaz anytime soon. But, yeah, I'm not living in it yet, but... Oh, that's pretty cool, Sinister. But yeah, weirdly, annoyingly, near me, there used to be a bigger version of an ROC bunker, like the airfield-style bunkers, so it looks like an ROC bunker, but, you know, with additional rooms on it. But sadly, they bulldozed it. And they haven't built on the land where they bulldozed it, they just bulldozed it for the fucking sake of bulldozing it, whoever owned the land. I thought, what cunts. Yeah, Braden, I say it's just where a few people have ruined it, you know, for everybody else. Take a wild guess. Thank you very much. You can enjoy custom streams every now and then. Right, Chris, the problem is, as I've said before, there's never a set price for them. The most expensive I've ever seen one go for is 100 grand, and I would not be paying that for them, and nobody of their right mind would be paying that for them. That was where, you know, one guy thought they were worth a hell of a lot more than they were, who managed to own one. The average price you're looking at is about 15 to 50 grand, I would imagine. 50 grand would be if you got one with a lot of land with it in pretty much pristine condition. One sold like that in Norfolk a few months ago. But most won't be that expensive. So at the moment, I'm basically in the price range of I could buy one in pretty much, you know, shit condition that would need a lot of restoring and a bit of land with it. But as you know, as I save more and more every month, basically what happens is, you know, if one pops up for a good price, I might be able to get one. But so basically, yeah, at the moment, I'm not doing like a GoFundMe or anything for it, but yeah, that's what the majority of my earnings, I'd say at least 50 to 70% of what I earn every month now is going towards, you know, obviously I still have to pay expenses for stuff and that. And I always leave a bit of money aside in case like a really rare gas mask pops up for a good price. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just saving up for that so I can start restoring it. It'd be like a bat cave. I might be Mr. Nuggy. I don't know yet because I haven't come up with a full inventory of what I will or won't be selling. There's a chance I might sell my FM12 if people are interested, but I have to see what they're averaging on eBay, and I wouldn't sell them for ridiculous money, but I don't want to sell it for like 30 quid, when I can clearly get more than that for it. There probably will be some 40mm NATO masks I sell. But as I said, what I'm going to end up doing is at some point making an inventory of everything I'm going to sell in the first batch of, selling stuff, including like Geiger counters, radiation detectors of various types, masks, stuff like that. Yeah, I've seen cool things like that, Braden, though, where people do, like the before and after of restoring them. I've already done videos like that, Rescue Medic, quite a while ago, because the pandemic started almost a year ago, didn't it? Hard to say, Sinister, actually, now. I don't really know if there's anything off the top of my head I'd really want that I don't own. There's cool stuff like Swiss SM90 gas masks I'd quite like. But, they're not essential. Is this my red? That's the one that ends like that. I need to find where I put my crop clip things last night. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted by electrical cables. I'd like a Swiss SM90 just because it's on the cover of Stalker Call of Pripyat. There's quite, a few masks that would be cool to own. But in all honesty, I've got enough masks myself. When Corona happened, I've been giving masks away to relatives, and like friends of the family, just so they actually had respirators if they needed to go out and go shopping. I'll see, Rosa, because as I said, I'll be offering it to people who are channel members first. I'm not sure for certain if I will sell the FM12. But as I said, there's a possibility I will sell it, because obviously my CT12 is the one I personally keep, and the FM12 is basically this of a drinking tube. But I definitely would like to keep at least one military mask for myself with a drinking tube that's pretty reliable, just because of the fact that, it would be nice to own a mask with a drinking tube that's actually good. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it, inductive tea cake, isn't it? You only need really one or two, like maybe two, just so you can check one isn't going faulty if you get a high reading or something. I've never used a magnetron of a microwave for anything, but if you're on about microwave transformers, on the other hand, which, the magnetron attaches to, weird you should mention that, because that's what this is. There's your primary output. The body of it's basically a negative, isn't it? And then, yeah, you've got your two inputs there. Obviously, yeah, be very careful with one of these if anybody uses them in amateur electronic stuff, because the 2 or 3 kilovolts these tend to give out are at pretty high ampage, or like pretty high milliamps, enough to fucking kill you. These are pretty damn heavy for what they are, microwave transformers. Because I know people use these for welding, don't they? Is it TIG welding or whatever they call it? Where, I'd reckon I could get a few grand for it, Russian Spetsnaz, but again, it's only worth what people are willing to pay for, isn't it? That's the thing, There's so many people who try and sell stuff on eBay and it, want unrealistic money for it. It's more, am I selling anything at the point where people might be into buying it? No, I am not married. I don't plan on getting married. But yeah, I cut the actual cables off of this earlier because the magnetron cables on it are completely useless when you're just using it as a high voltage transformer. Yeah, spot welder, that's the one, isn't it? Spot or TIG weld or whatever they call them, where you put a couple of them in parallel and then, or whatever it is, and then, yeah, you get quite a lot of high voltage off of them. Oh, yeah, if you have an old microwave or like CRTs, stuff like that is worth cannibalizing for parts because you can get some really interesting parts in them. All right, thank you, Rosa, as well. But yeah, because like in CRT televisions, you get flyback transformers. I'm pretty sure I've got a flyback transformer somewhere in here. Where is it? So this is why I need to sell shit to make more room. But yeah, a a flyback transformer is like the old power source CRT TVs used. You know, yeah. If for people who actually just want stuff like microwave transformers, because I wouldn't sell mine. You can literally buy microwave transformers quite cheaply on eBay. Generally, the postage sometimes is more expensive than the price of the item just due to the weight of them. Yeah, I was saying, if you do have CRTs that are beyond working, Joe, they are worth scrapping for parts. But yeah, I can see the appeal of keeping CRTs because they're a pretty big rarity now. Silent Coco, I doubt I do. I mean, I don't know what your main account's called. I can see your text there, but don't forget YouTube. YouTube seems to shadow ban a hell of a lot of stuff, you know, with people saying they're typing messages out and I can't see them. Yeah, there's quite easy ways of feeding flybacks, though, aren't they? Aren't they? Because I've done it before. I've just taken a bit of the CRT circuit board out with it and just plugged that in. Coco, you definitely shouldn't be banned. I recognise your name because you used to comment a lot, didn't you, Coco? Coco Stewart. No, you're definitely not banned. I mean, I can check my banned list later just in case YouTube has somehow added you on there. But it wouldn't surprise me if YouTube has just decided some word in your username is now something that can't be allowed to comment, you know, for random bullshit reasons like they seem to do. Like, the amount of people that, you know, say they can't comment and then for some stupid reason, you know, YouTube is hiding words like the word safe. I mean, our favourite Twitch one on one of Mike's streams was the word a-hole was constantly being blocked, not as an asshole. It's like somebody was saying, like, I need to dig a hole. And then because it thinks a-hole was asshole, it was like banning their entire messages. I mean, why would I want to do that though, Christos? As I said, there's no point. You're never going to get it running again. Like, there's missing parts from it. No, that sounds interesting, Russian spec sounds. Let me look up what that is. But yeah, there's quite a few bits of scrap electronics. Weird. If it's letting you type, I don't think it's blocked, but your comments weren't showing up. So again, it's YouTube just shadow banning thousands of words, I imagine. So Tojo's at Tojo's at home in this shit. And what that was something that wasn't allowed either for Tojo or shit for something in your username. Yeah, a good point, Tactical. Yeah, like you say, the word hose probably banned on a lot of things, and that's a tool. Have you seen that videos where somebody puts the Mr. Rogers audio of him talking about garden hose and they put on footage of like street prostitutes? You know, where he's going like, there's a hole over there. It's just got like these streetwalkers on there. It's pretty funny. Firebird JP, do you mean definition? I don't think he's uploaded anything in years, has he? But he's one of the quite old gas mask collectors. But yeah, I don't think he's done content in ages. When do I think COVID will end? When we've got right, I don't think sadly now COVID is ever going to end entirely just because there's so many strains of it now. I reckon it will go around every year like the flu in slightly different forms. But in terms of, let's say in the UK and a lot of Western countries, I reckon within a year, most Western countries, hiccups, will you know, have got enough vaccinations done that it's over in that regard. But yeah, I think sadly, due to countries where there won't be enough vaccine uptake, I reckon you'll keep getting mutations that keep spreading around. You know, like how the cold and the flu virus go around every year in different forms. No, is Parler that thing like Trump was on and then got banned from that as well? No, I'm not on Parler. If that's what it is, I don't know if you've even spelled it that. I'd assumed it'd be Parler, like come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. I shouldn't be like, I've only heard about that recently because, you know, all the Capitol Hill riot stuff, or whatever it was. Saying that, did anybody hear the Nick Abbott thing on that the other day? That made me fucking laugh really hard. If people know who Nick Abbott is on LBC, you know, I want a pardon from President Trump. Strap on, Brighthole. But in all seriousness, what on terms of masks do you mean? Probably like I was just saying, in all honesty, probably like the type that's on the CT12, just because again you could probably do the straps a bit better than on here. But I like the idea that you have 4 of the straps that you basically adjust, to however you always want them on the mask, and then you've got the 2 sort of quick tighten straps, so you can just do this, and then the mask's like how you want it. So this is a pretty good down strap system. And again, I think there are masks that do this but better. Oh yeah, only one of the things is on. Where's the other one gone? It doesn't matter, I'll find it later. But yeah. It could have done Silent Cocoa. No, I did not hear about that, Brandon. But Braden, sorry. But they could have shadow banned you. There's so many things they can hide people's comments for, right? The ARF is mostly bad 304 tactical because it was made from a really type of shitty rubber or plastic that basically just goes hard over time and stops working. So you know how most masks, the expiry date doesn't really matter within reason, because the mask is going to last a hell of a lot of years in like the 5 or 10 year shelf life. Yeah, the issue is that the ARF is definitely a mask that isn't going to last much beyond its shelf life because of like it's essentially dries out almost. No, I haven't smoked for years now, Monty. I haven't even vaped in over a year now. Well, I mean, if you've got a proper mask like an S10, Christos, I definitely would recommend you getting proper filters for it, just so you've got it as an emergency, mask if you ever need it for anything. Right, we were asked about the CM7M earlier. Let me just look it up again. Is this the new one Myra are selling, which is just a rebranded Czech mask? Let's have a look. All right, okay, this is a Czech OM90 mask. I've done a video on the OM90. If you're interested in the OM90, don't buy it from Myra. Let's see what fucking price Myra charged for it, actually. $249.95. Words fail me. I bought that mask overpriced for about 70 or 80 quid. People in the Czech Republic can apparently buy them for like 20 to 30 euros worth of money. OK9 might actually know. How much do they cost if you see them in a Czech surplus store, OK9, the old Czech OM90 military gas masks? Like, I know they're going to cost more than, like, M10s and CM4s and CM3s, things like that, but they're not worth $250. It's like a shitter version of the S10. Oh, so they've reduced it, have they? But no, don't buy it from Myra for that price. Even if it's a newly produced one, it's not a very good mask. It's like an S10, but not as good. Was that the one you were on about the other day, Brighton? I think you mentioned it on the stream the other day, if it was one of the ones that looked like the Snork mask or whatever. Well, here's the thing. If you buy an Israeli M15 PA-free, and you can get brand new 40mm filters for it, just use 40mm filters, not the old surplus ones. But the best way of checking them is using stuff like banana oil. But if a filter's really old, don't trust your life on it. So yeah, as OK9 says, I'll just read this out for him. A mask Myra is charging nearly $300 for, and apparently used to be over $300. In the Czech Republic, they cost 20 to 30 euros used. Brand new, 100 euros. I think when I got mine, it was still in its all like original plastic wrap. So mine was probably old, but still unused for about £80. So yeah. No, not the CM3 OSO. We're on about the OM90. And we're on about Myra's price for the OM90. What about the GP5? It's a mass-produced Soviet civilian respirator in the Cold War. It was very good at being a cheap mask to protect civilians from NBC threats. It's not a very good mask by today's standards, but you can't fault a government at least making masks for all their civilians, unlike in the West where they didn't bother. Everything wrong with Soviet Union, at least they made NBC protective equipment and bunker space for a lot of their civilians. Yeah, but that's just my point, OK9, isn't it? The price Myra want for them is insane. You know, there's some masks where even if I could buy a brand new version of a really good mask, I wouldn't pay that. Like, for that money, you could probably buy... I'm trying to think what, like, the best price mask is on eBay at the moment. Maybe those Furnez ones that you can buy from Poland. Which one's the F1M? Let me look it up. I can never remember lots of the masks now. Oh, is that like the older version of the CM3? Let's have a look. I found a web page on it, so I'm just going to look it up. The Czech Fatra FM1 was the main mask produced by Fatra before the Second World War. All right, so it's a World War II era gas mask that looks pretty good for a World War II mask, but it's groundbreaking today. Wow. Yeah, the Furness is a good mask, isn't it, Rosa? I mean, I like the Furness. It's one of those masks that I was surprised at the price it cost on eBay, even when the pandemic was going on, to, like, you know, the quality of the actual mask. You know, considering how many sellers now just price gouge the hell out of the masks. Yeah, Renzo, one of the things Myra sell, they sell a SOEX Geiger counter, but I think at a $50 markup. And Myra advertise it like it basically detects any range of radiation. I think it maxes out at 1 millisievert, if that. You know, like 1/10 of a Rontgen. It is not a very it's not a very high range Geiger counter at all. It can tell you if it's above background, can't do much else. But you know, Myra's selling it like, oh, it's the best little Geiger counter ever. It goes in your pocket. Yeah, I've got some proper pager style Geiger counters that go in my pocket. I trust them a hell of a lot more. Right, Dominic. The OM14 is actually based, if I'm getting the name of the mask right, or you're getting the name of the mask right, is the one that's actually the Polish version of the Shum 41. The Shum 41 is the original Soviet military mask. The GP5 is kind of like a cheapened down version of. Because the original one was the Shum one, I think, and then there's some other ones. But the Shum 41 was the one that most Warsaw Pact militaries copied. So the OM14 or OM18, whatever it's called, is the Shum 41, but with like shiny zinc bits of metal on rather than like brown bits of metal, really. What do you mean by a double filter of fans? Do you mean a PAPI unit? If you mean a 3M 6800, I'm sure it'd be absolutely fine for like Corona and stuff like that. The Forshida's voice diaphragm is apparently the really bad bit with it, Jack. There's lots of good things about the Forshida, and I really like it, but its voice diaphragm's pretty crap, in all honesty. So it's basically like a better version of the S10 or FM12. Think of the mask like a better S10 or FM12, but with a worse voice diaphragm. That's the best way of explaining that mask. You get a better field of view, the mask is more comfortable, the head harness is even better, but the voice diaphragm is shit. Oh, as in the Finnish M61 tools and targets. Finnish M61s are bloody well-built masks, so a lot of Finnish M61s are still in good condition. As for the old, what they called M11 filters, I think the 60mm Finnish filters they used, I've bought surplus ones before cheaply that when I've opened them, they still pass the smell test, so they might be good to some degree. But I mean, in all honesty, if you wanted to use that mask seriously, buy a 60 to 40mm converter for it, and then just use modern 40mm filters on it. I don't actually know, Rosa. I've not looked at mine in ages. It might be possible. I'll have to check that for you at some point. Sometimes you need the right tools for taking masks apart. What was I asked if I've played? I didn't see the comment. Oh, Fallout New Vegas. I've played lots of New Vegas. There's streams of it on my channel. I've got spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle. No, Finnish M11 ones, if you mean the Finnish 60mm filters, Braden, from what I understand, the original American M9 60mm filters contain asbestos. The Finnish ones definitely don't, but the Finnish ones I do think contain chromium, which never bothers me, but it does really bother some people. Do I have one handy in the straw? because I do have a few of those filters, but I think I've put them away in my filter storage box in a different room. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't think they contain asbestos. I'm like certain they don't have asbestos in, but as far as I'm aware, they do contain chromium. But yeah, so if you got an M9, you could put the finish filter on, which would be a lot safer than using the old M9 filters. Yeah, Joe, I mean, in all honesty, if you buy one in the can, don't open the can, because it's kind of, I open mine in the can, but they're kind of like, more collectible to keep them in the can. But, yeah, it would be nice if you just buy an opened M9, couldn't it? Because when they're sealed in their original can, it's kind of like, a time capsule a bit more. Yeah, the V1 and the V2 had that rubber front piece. I think the original M9, like the V1, sorry, the M61, like the V1, was the one that looks just like an M9A1, just in the finished color rubber. Obviously, the V2, or whatever you want to call it, is like the improved version. Like version that they could mass produce for a bit cheaper, And then the V3, I've got one up there. If you just want to see it on the wall next to the England flag. That one with the... I don't like that one as much, just because there's much more chance that you can get an air leak, how they did the voice diaphragm clip-on bit. But yeah, it's a good mask if they did that bit better. But yeah, the V2 I reckon is really good. That's the one Weapon Collector got as well as his first gas mask, and he thought that was really good. Just because, yeah, the finish masks are just really well made. Like, the quality of the straps on the finish mask for a mask from 1960s is nearly as good as like those CT12 FM12 style straps. Oh, if you mean the M1 carbine on the wall, that's a DIAC, and I didn't hold it, so it doesn't count. Because there's an RPK always behind me in the background. The YouTuber always handling guns on the live stream. For tear gas and that, they'll be completely fine tools and targets, because it's got a particle filter in to block a lot of, like, the powdery shit in the tear gas. And if the charcoal inside is still somewhat working, it's going to be blocking any of the vapor coming through the tear gas. So yeah, in all honesty, for stuff like tear gas and riot agents, I think an M61 with its filters will be absolutely fine. I bought it from Hype, Stuart. The IM101 I bought from a guy who sometimes comes on these live streams, who has an eBay shop, and the Gen 2 night vision, the Gen 2 Plus, as I said before, I bought this one from Hype, who often comes on the streams and that as well. He's a guy in China who sometimes gets me cool Chinese military gear. So, he's the person you need to ask. But I think he said at the moment he's not seen any more of the tubes for sale. Because basically what he did is he got a factory reject tube that was in good condition, put it into a night vision unit for me, and then sold it to me. Anyway, I'll go off quite soon because my throat's going quite dry from all the talking. My own merch, it's from Teespring, you can see it below. And thank you, BG Scooters. Quite a lot of people signed up today, didn't they, for membership? Yeah, what I've got, that night vision is a Chinese, tell you what the tube's called again. It's basically a Gen 2 Plus unit, but it's got a factory defect tube, hence why I was able to get it at a good price. So it just means there's some blemishes on the tube, and I think it overbrights some of like the lights in it, but not to a Gen 3 type way. It's called a Chinese NNVT tube, and then when it's put in different units, it has different names. Thank you, Mike. I was just going to block that twat. Don't spam the chat. No, I'd be unfit to serve even if I wanted to. But yeah, as I said, I'll be off in a minute or two just because from all the talking. Hype is a person. Yes, that's his like internet handle. I've got his real name, but I don't know if he'd want me sharing it because obviously where I've PayPal'd him before, I've got his like actual billing name. But then I'd never remember what that is because I can't remember like actual Chinese names. Dan, no, I went out to the pharmacy to collect my like medication they have to give me weekly because annoyingly, I know this is like that for a lot of people. If you've got chronic illnesses, sometimes your medicine, you're lucky and you can get it on like a month rolling prescription. So you only have to go to the pharmacy once a month for it. Some of the medicines I'm on, they only give you like a week's supply at a time. So like every Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, I always go up to the pharmacy like, oh, can I have, when the doctors have put it through for you just to collect the stuff. So I went to the pharmacy earlier, then I played some Red Dead Online earlier. Now I'm doing the stream. Depends on what the mask is, Braden. Like some of them you can send out anyway because they're not covered by ITAR. I suppose I might have done well because a lot of my family members were in different things, like in the services over the years. But it's just medically unfit, so there wasn't any chance I could have done it anyway. As in a Canadian C4? Yes, I do. I need to repair one of the valves on it because annoyingly I was demonstrating to somebody how one of the valves worked on it and then it never resealed tight. Yeah, if you mean a Canadian C4, yes, I've got a Canadian C4. This one, by the way, would be a mask I definitely wouldn't sell, just so people know, because this was gifted to me by somebody in America who, and these are really hard to get outside of like America and Canada C4s. So, I was very grateful to have it. But yeah, this umbrella valve there, I need to replace that valve really because this doesn't pull tight anymore. As you can probably see, it sort of juts up a bit. How would you clean an M40? Soapy water. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, if it's a mining mask, Braden, you should definitely be able to send it out. You're only ever going to run into a problem with ITAR if you get somebody in customs that wants to be a dick about it. But yeah, is it like one of the Acme masks, like My Bloody Valentine? Is it like one of those style ones, like as in the film, not the band or whatever they are? I think that might have been an MSA mask, mightn't it, in My Bloody Valentine? But I know Acme did a few masks quite similar to that, like the old what was the bloke's name in My Bloody Valentine? Was it somebody Warden? Like Henry Warden, Harry Warden? Was it something like that? Yeah, I would love a mask like that. So, I can hit people with a pickaxe and do... Not really. I have to say that now because of all the people. I'm going to report you to the police because you are inspiring violence. I think PG1's a 40mm BG scooter, so yeah, you could wear it on a GP5 fine. There's an airsoft shotgun behind me. That's the orange one. And then there's an RPK behind it with the longer barrel sticking up. All right, let me have a look, Braden. Oh, I might have got that valve on tight now. I think that might be all right now, but I'll see if I can get it a bit tighter later. Yeah, that's reassuring. Yeah, that is a lot like the one in My Bloody Valentine, isn't it, that one? Yeah, that's a fucking cool mask with the massive... It reminds me of an insect, like the face bit of that. Yeah, that's fucking cool, that mask. If it's Myra, I'd say no, just simply because it's probably somebody else's CBRN suit charged for more hazmat unit. Have you paid extra Metro Exodus? Why do I owe money to Metro Exodus? If you mean, have I played it? No. For people interested in Myra products, there we go. It's in properly now, look, because you can see it doing that. There we go. Yeah, for people interested in Myra products, try and work out beforehand what the actual product is, and then, spend accordingly. Wonder what fell over there. But yeah, the point is in Myra that they're generally just Czech military gear being sold at far more than the actual unit price worth. I did, Will, but I sent it to somebody as a gift. So I no longer have the 1980 one. I've got a 2007 or 2009 S10. But that's up on the shelf, and I won't get that down now because I'm finishing in a minute. Right, Jack, I'm not sure if this is an Airboss C4 or not, because I know Airboss did build these masks, but I don't know if this is particularly an Airboss version. But no, I like, because I know, like, Australia, didn't they, bought the LBMs recently? I've heard they're good. I've heard Airboss make some really good shit along with Avon, but I haven't really seen any of their new stuff, like in person. Because sometimes, you never really get a good feel of the mask unless you feel it's rubber, You have to touch its texture. I like rusty spoons. I've got that CDV 700 with the dodgy probe wire is fixed, Ethan. But the thing is, the CDV 700 I never really use. I like having it in my collection. I wouldn't sell it because I like having various CDV model instruments, like you can see in the background. But when it comes to like CDV 700s, they're more cool factor useful than practical useful. Because like for the price of a CDV 700, at least in the UK, you can get a hell of a lot better Geiger counters than that. Probably about £100, Joe Green, but as I said, I'll be offering it to members first. What do you mean by story tale videos? Definition of insanity? Do you mean fairy tales? Why would I do fairy tale videos unless you mean something else? You can spam goodbye when I'm going off, yes. Yeah, so that's the C4. Obviously, I've not got the filter on it at the moment. This is a cool mask. Yeah, that exhale valve's working properly now. But yeah, C4's really nice. It's just like an S10, basically. But as I've said before, the Canadian C4 is a love child between a US M40 and an Avon S10. The idea is that they looked at the S10, they looked at the M40, they took the good bits from both, and this is what they made. You can see from the side, it looks like an S10. From the front, it looks a bit more like an M40, especially with that voice diaphragm, and like that sort of design. They're pretty similar, Yomada. I mean, the problem is with the Czech on 90 is they've got the S10 lenses, but then they've used solid, like black plastic on more of them. So it's an S10 with a smaller field of view. Anyway, I'll be off now. So tomorrow, I'll probably do a members stream tomorrow, but if not, I'll try and get a members video done on showing some of the stuff, I might be selling and a rough idea of what I'd want for it. If people are interested in it. As I said, I'm definitely selling a DP2 without the control source in it that fully works, because I bought a DP2 that didn't have the control source in, and without the control source, it's no good to me. But I have tested it and it's working, so I'd want about £100 for that. Therefore, I've only lost out on the shipping of it. But anyway, I'll cover that in the video. I did put a load of pictures of that up on Discord, but I've done videos, Foster Tactical. Sorry to hear about your dad. I mean, I'm sure he did really good service for everybody doing that. But yeah, if you get the equipment, I've done videos on cleaning it. I mean, personally, I would check some of that stuff over as well with a Geiger counter just to be extra safe, just in case there's anything nasty stuck on any of it. But yeah, in terms of washing masks, it's generally pretty easy, soapy water for the most part. Anyway, see you on Twitch later, Mike. I'll definitely try and catch you on for a bit of that, even if I'm not on the full thing. Right, see everybody later. Goodbye.